Hey, your people better. April 22nd, actual Earth Day. Happy Earth Day. Also, I was wrong about stuff. Specifically, I was wrong about this week being my busy week. I've been wrong about it for a couple of days now. Instead, that's next week. I didn't have to see my therapist today. I've been in bed pretty much the whole time, which is nice at least. Oh shit, I need to wash this cup. Great, no water pressure. Awesome. Wonderful. Oh man. Just wish I had a fucking dishwasher. But I don't. I'm the dishwasher. And I hate it. I'm not feeling... I hate existing at times. There are very few things in life that make me feel like existing is worthwhile. This doesn't completely clear that out. The new brush. Looking better there. Cool. Oh man, I'm gonna drink this without milk today because it seems to be spoiled. So instead, I'm just gonna consume the milk raw, straight up, and then figure out, if I'm going to die from it or not. And then, when that carton is empty, which, it's only a half gallon and it's already, close to being done anyway, then I'll just, give it a good rinse and then it'll be done. I won't do it anymore. Oh, man. So let's see what you're looking like now, Mr. Cold Brew. How are you handling life, Mr. Cold Brew? It looks nice and dark. Like it's probably still pretty good. Okay. I don't know. I might run it through the ringer a couple times. Might actually be worth it in that regard. We'll see. So for the time being, I'll just keep doing this until, maybe the coloration gets noticeably lighter, and then I can be like, oh, okay, now you're on low end. So, because hey, who knows? Maybe I'll get a lot of life out of it, or maybe it'll just taste terrible, and then I'll be like, okay, now I'm done. I don't know. I was gonna try to do some dishes today, but with the fucking water being so goddamn finicky and basically non-existent, and with Turtle Wow being killed off soon, I was like, well, I also kind of want to do some more questing and at least get the one title so I can be like, okay, I did it. I did one of the things that I wanted to do. Technically two, because on one of my other characters I've already gotten another title, the cartographer title, where you explore everything. And then what's funny is and I had finished it maybe 2 days before a new patch with a new expanded area and a brand new set of dungeons. And then when that happened, there was I want to say 20 something areas to explore. And then some of them were old, that I had supposedly explored them, but then I guess not for whatever reason. There's weird issues with that patch and the reset in association. Like old flight paths, especially like flight paths in the new areas, in the custom areas, they were all basically gone, forgotten essentially. So to go back and get some of them which I still haven't done. But last night I was trying to finish up just the rest of the discovery on my older character because there was only like maybe 10 left. Because there had been a bug where one of the older areas, I was like, oh, you haven't discovered this section. I go back there and I'm just like, can't do it. And then like somebody posted in the Discord that it was bugged out. And apparently yesterday, when the reset, because they did a weekly reset, just like old retail WoW did, every week there was always maintenance, and they're still doing maintenance on the servers and stuff right now. So it's possible next week this new bug will be fixed, because I went and explored the rest of the places, and then this last one won't take. So it's like, all right. So that's essentially what I'm doing right now with those characters. One is finishing up quests to get the Lore Keeper title, and this one just to finish off being a legit cartographer. And at that point, I don't know what I'm going to do with WoW. I mean, I've got my whittling stuff on the way today, so I can maybe start doing some more of that. Just learning a little bit more of the Icelandic stuff as well. I'm thinking what I'll do today is kind of what I did, I think, on Friday, which is on my old account. I'll play a little bit of... I don't know if I'm going to keep playing Hollow Knight. I'm getting tired of it. Like, every time I think about playing it, I don't want to play it. I might just give up on it. Just lock it away forever. And maybe just switch my account over to just learning Icelandic and doing voice-related stuff. One of the things I wanted to do was get back into trying to learn how to sing. The reason I'm walking over here right now is because I turned the computer on for the first time today. It is currently 4:41 p.m. Been in bed since like 6 a.m. Did get up to pee and a poop, of course. And of course, here on Earth Day, I accidentally wiped first instead of, using the bidet. But, small moves, as they say. One of the things that I'd found recently, well, not really found, so to speak. Where are you at? Here you are. So, in the game, so one of the things that happened was in the World of Warcraft, the Turtlecraft, there's the human city of Stormwind, which is kind of like your sort of central point to a lot of what is going on story-wise. While they don't really start it off like that in Warcraft 3, you start with, sort of a prologue, essentially, with Thrall moving to the Western continent, Kalimdor. The first real storyline is Arthas and the humans and all that stuff, and it's just kind of centered around his actions as well. He is kind of the main bad in the end, because he starts off as the good guy, and then throughout his progress, he, starts to fall to the sway of the demons and the like. It's very metaphorical in its own way. He's fighting against the demons that are influencing him and all that kind of crap. Like me and my depression, and how I don't want to be alive today, or any other day of the week for that matter. So, Stormwind, but he's also coming out of Lordaeron, which is further north, but after the events of that, Lordaeron is in ruins, and it's it's overrun by the Forsaken, which is the undead that aren't like fully undead. They're kind of like, they still have their humanity to them to a degree, which is why you get to play as the Forsaken. And so it ends up being renamed as Undercity. And so Stormwind is like the central capital of of humans. That's where the actual king is and all that stuff. And down south of that is a small hamlet called Goldshire. And just south, like just south of Goldshire, there's a gold mine. So kind of makes sense as to why that little hovel will be there, the little hamlet. And like there's all kinds of crazy, interesting things that are going on in the story of Warcraft. But in the last couple of days, before the reset yesterday, after the announcement on Friday that Turtle WoW is getting shut down permanently, on like Sunday night, a lot of people went out and just allowed their character to die. And there was somebody who was literally like creating a suicide pact, effectively, where it was like, hey, come die on the road to Goldshire. And at one point, I managed to find my way out there after the fact, when it was later at night, and I recorded a bit of it where I ran from just south of Goldshire. It's like, so there's Stormwind, there's Goldshire, there's this little spot where the Dark Moon Fair shows up, and then just south of that is the gold mine. So I started at the north end of the mine, pointing up towards Goldshire, or of the fair, pointing towards Goldshire. I get on my mount, and I turn on on OBS and start recording, and then I'm running through Goldshire. And at first, you don't really see much. You see maybe a corpse or two or whatever, and then as you start to breach the northern reaches of the very small area of Goldshire, you just start seeing bodies everywhere. And at one point, there's this huge concentration, then it starts to thin out, and then, but it's not super thin the whole time. And then it gets to the city, and it kind of starts to expand a little bit. And then there's a tower of headstones that are on top of each other. And the headstones are from hardcore characters dying. Because once you reach a certain level, and it's level 20 in this specific case, you have a headstone that's more square. And those headstones have collision in them so that you can't walk right through them. You can walk over them, or you can jump, you stand on top of them. So people were standing on top of headstones and dying over and over and over again and these are permadeaths. These are characters that will not come back ever. All their loot, all their gold, everything is gone. And since they're hardcore character, there's certain limitations as to how they can interact with non-hardcore characters. You can't group with them at all. You can't send them mail, I believe. So you can't twink a hardcore character. They can't send stuff out. So once you're hardcore, it's like you're in a guild that cannot do certain types of interactions with the rest of the world. And so you could only send gold to another hardcore character, supposedly. I'm not even sure. So, and so there's essentially an economy within an economy. And it's the hardcore character. So when that character dies, it's actually a big deal, because that little arm of the hardcore community is permadead. And if you die by accident or through unfortunate circumstances, that's death. That's just reality. And so the fact that there were that many people who were willing to do it, and then in the main city of Orgrimmar, which is the orc main city, which is where Thrall, the main orc character, he was the prologue of the original Warcraft 3 game. He was the starting of it and everything. He left the Eastern Kingdoms because there was just too much influence, too many humans, and preventing him and his people from being able to have a life. So he moves over to the other side of the world, and that's where they found Orgrimmar on the sort of state of Durotar, if you will. And in there, in Orgrimmar, they were making a giant cross of headstones. And then in Booty Bay, which is sort of like your third main city, but it's a neutral city where, you know, like it's run by the goblins. They don't have allegiances to either side, technically, although in Turtle Well they kind of did, but it wasn't. It was a different faction of goblins called the Durotar Labor Union, or Workers Union, something like that. And so in the Booty Bay Inn, there was just a bunch of fucking headstones all in that place, making it very difficult to walk around. But yesterday, during maintenance, everything was reset. So all the bodies are gone, all the headstones are gone, all of it. Which is a big bummer, because it would have been nice if all that had been able to just continue to pile up for the next 3 weeks. But alas, it's not going to happen. But yeah, one of the things but when I saw that and I recorded that road of dead bodies, the first song that came to my mind was the one from Baldur's Gate 3. Pick up the computer here and play it. At least a little bit. Oops. Well, it was just a bottle of moisturizer. And it is the House of Hope, which is where you meet Raphael and interact with him at various stages of the game. Now, the reason I brought that up is 25 seconds, and it's about the time of my recording, too. But I decided at one point, I'm going to try to sing that. So now I'm going to try to do just that little moment. So bear with me. Because I am extremely self-conscious about singing. Nobody's going to see this, which is one reason why I should actually not worry about it. And I think I'll even name it Lives, All Mortal Lives, Expire. So let's try it out. Lives, all mortal lives, expire. Souls go to their dooms in flame forevermore. Anyway, so yeah. I think my start on that was not great. But one of the things that I need to do, because I want to learn how to sing. I've always wanted to learn how to sing. And I even took a singing class, and I got a lot of the basics. And I had to and one of the reasons why my start there wasn't all that great, and I'm sure an actual vocal coach, if they saw that, they'd be like, oh, here are all the problems that you have, is the nature of breath control is very important. I mean, obviously, because if you're going to be singing for potentially half an hour, hour long, whatever, breath control really matters. And I wasn't able to get it just right in the beginning because I was just trying to find the lyrics and all that kind of stuff. Because even though it pops up on the screen, I need to be able to see the lyrics going ahead of time so that I can kind of connect all the dots. Like, one of the issues I had in my singing class was I am absolutely terrible at rounds. Like, rounds don't work. I can't do them. My brain, it's like I'm trying to do all the things in my brain and then trying to remember what my line is, and I can't do it. It's too hard. It's like trying to see certain color gradations when I was in my art classes. I just can't see it. Like, people are looking at all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what you're seeing. I don't see the world that they're seeing. And the same thing goes with rounds, I'm not hearing the world that they're hearing. And so if I'm going to try to learn how to sing, I've got a couple of videos that I've already looked into, and I've even downloaded and put them in audio form on my phone. I've forgotten to look into them because one of the things about me is that if it's not there in front of my face, I will forget about it. But like, I even got a decent grade in my singing class. I've taken 2 of them, but one of them I had to drop because of the whole COVID bullshit. And so, and like I did, what was it? If I Only Had a Brain. My professor sucked. She didn't let me do the songs that I wanted to do. I still interviewed her for a fucking show anyway, but because I just, whatever. But, she sucked for that purpose. She was a great teacher. It's just that it sucked that I wasn't allowed to actually, like, have fun with it. Because I was choosing things that, like, worked for me. And they were, you know, ribald and, you know, maybe insensitive to a degree. But, and nobody you see in the class seemed to give a shit either that I was doing. She's the only one that did. Because I wanted to sing I'm So Ronry. I can kind of see the problem with that one now. But like it was one of the songs that would pop up in my head when I was doing work, especially in one of my art classes. And someone's like, "Hey, do you know how to sing?" I'm like, "Not really." They're like, "You sounded pretty good." I was like, "Cool." And then there was the Looking for Group parody of A Part of This World, which was Slaughter the World. And I love that song so fucking much. I had learned how to try to sing it. I mean, I didn't know about the voice control and all that stuff. And I mean, you have to like, it's better in the early stages when learning how to sing to be standing and upright. Once you're good at singing, then you can sing no matter how you want to fucking do. You can sing laying on the ground, whatever, running around the fucking place. Because your breath control becomes innate. And it becomes, you know, the second nature thing for you. And you know how to control your breathing even when you're running around on stage. Which is why Mick Jagger can fucking do what he does. Because, like, he's a human being, but also an airbag that knows how to control itself. You know? it's very, you know, I'm sure if somebody could look at his physiology while he's doing what he's doing, like, if you could get something akin to an MRI and shoot it at him while he's on fucking stage and just measure all of the things going on in his body, I'm sure it'd be really fascinating. Especially to, you know, somebody who understands and, you know, is trying to study the physiology of the interior of a human, especially like lungs and lung capacity and breath control and shit like that. So, but yeah, I want to learn how to do stuff like that. But even if it's not for any reason other than just for my own goddamn amusement. Because I think everybody should learn. I think we're all creative, for one. I think my lack of creative outlets is part of my depression. While I am not overly good at anything, the fact that I don't do them is probably part of why my depression becomes as significant as it is. I think expression of self matters to just humans in general, you know. Yes, there's going to be some people who just, they get no pleasure out of it whatsoever. And I get no pleasure out of sucking at it, but I at least get some pleasure out of knowing what, like understanding my limit. I'd rather understand my limitations than simply just not even fucking try at them at all. Because when I'm not trying at them, I'm just more and more depressed. You know, that's why I cook as much as I do, even though I fucking hate cleaning. Because it is an expression of self, even if it's only to myself. Because I'm not doing well with it. I'm working with what I've got financially and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not really looking to go far with it. I'm just looking to do good enough. You know, it's like, the kitchen are my, you know, is a room for all my instruments, as it were. And it allows me to explore, to experiment. to discover things not only about food, but about myself. You know, the fact that lentils are not bad. You know, it's like, lentils, there's nothing about lentils that says lentils are going to taste bad. But my brain wants to shut off when I think about them. I don't know why. It could be because, you know, of a decade plus of experience of hearing about them and hearing about veganism and, you know, having been a staunch anti-vegan and, you know, because like there's a difference between somebody who's not a vegan and someone who is an anti-vegan. Akin to how a lot of people think about like atheism versus religious, like they think that when you're an atheist, you're a staunch non-believer and that it is in of itself a belief. And there's a difference between being a non-theist non-believer and essentially, you know, a non-believer and like a staunch atheist. And I'm not a staunch atheist as I used to be, just as I'm not a staunch vegan, anti-vegan as I used to be. And so I'm overcoming aspects of self in the process of fucking up making my lentils. Because even though I fucked them up, they're not bad. I mean, it's just like another bean, basically. And like, that's also another thing, too. Like, some beans in my life have been bad, and I don't want, like, I would like to overcome them. It's like, navy beans were shit, lima beans were shit, black eyed peas were shit. Like, all of these things were crap, probably because of how my mother cooked them. Just like chicken breast and steaks were always shit because of how my mother cooked them. Pork chops, the same thing. It's like, if you cook something right, it tastes better. It's like asparagus, for instance. The first time I had ever had asparagus and I was like, this is good, is when it was not cooked, but it was blanched and shocked. It's cooked for like 30 fucking seconds. So it's not fucking weeping and, you know, it's like, I even had some roasted asparagus when I was working up in Pasadena. And it's like, yeah, it was on the floppy side, but it wasn't like droopy. It had rigidity to it. And the thing is that when you cook asparagus, if you overcook it and it loses that rigidity, it's also an indicator that you're also overcooking it to the point of killing off nutrients and various other aspects of the flavors. And now you're stuck with that like really nasty iron taste that like every green has. And so like I don't really like cooked greens because almost all of them are overcooked. You give me cooked spinach, I'm throwing that shit away. But if you give me steamed spinach, we'll have a different conversation. Because, you know, the bitter compounds aren't the things that are first and foremost. And I think also it has to do with individual tastes as well, because some people, like myself, so everybody has a bitter receptor. But some people, like myself, that receptor is stronger. So, like, I can't do hoppy beers because my bitter receptor, so think of me as the Star Trek Enterprise, and I have a sensor, and it senses bitter. All right, but whenever it senses bitter, it basically sets off a red alert every fucking time, right? If bitter is detected, red alert. I'm the one, like the captain of the ship has to be like, okay, let's measure the levels, let's test the levels to determine, okay, so take it from red alert to, yellow, or maybe not even just, stop the red alert altogether. But the thing is like, it's an overactive sensor for bitterness. Some people, they have that detector and they detect bitterness, but for them it's actually a pleasant flavor. It's a pleasant accompaniment. It's like when people talk about the fruitiness and all that shit, and I'm just like, what fucking fruitiness? It's bitter. What are you talking about? Or like a buddy of mine from high school. He loves like whiskeys and scotches and stuff. I can't fucking stand that shit because it all tastes burnt. And he's all like, it tastes like this and this, and I'm like, what the fuck are you on about? None of those things exist in this. And we're literally drinking the exact same fucking bullshit. And that's part of the thing, too, when it comes to food and why food is so personal. but also why it's so difficult at times to get things right. You may not like a thing because of how it was cooked. So in order for you to potentially like that thing, you may have to cook it a different way. Like, I can't do cilantro because it tastes like fucking soap. So it needs to be processed in a way, it needs to be prepared in a way where it's not fresh. You know, you could probably cook, so I could probably put cilantro on my fucking pasta sauce if I wanted to. It's not something I'm really willing to do because I don't want to ruin a whole ass fucking thing of pasta sauce just to test. But cooking it down, like I had ceviche once before, couldn't fucking taste it at all. But then some people be like, well, I don't like ceviche because it doesn't have that freshness. And I'm like, there's no fresh, you know? So that's the thing about cooking that I do like, but also the fact that I'm just not, I'm still trying to experience things in life by re-experiencing them. And, you know, like the reason I'm bringing up the whittling thing and why I want to do that is because, like, I liked doing that when I was a kid. I was in Boy Scouts and I did whittling and I even have an injury because of it. You know, I can still see there's a little, like, moon shape, a crescent moon shape on my fucking thumb because at one point I was going hard on it and my knife got caught, and because I wasn't, you know, fully cognizant of all the things that I needed to do, I ended up slicing my fucking thumb. I even remember because it was like a little, like, I think I may have stolen it actually. But it was like a cross shape. It was as if you had extruded something through a cross. But like, I was trying to make a chain link out of it because you just cut out the pieces that are the chain link, you know, that aren't the chain link, and now you have a chain link. And it works out really cool. But yeah, so that's why I'm going to do the soaps first, because one, that won't dull the knife super fast. The wood that I'm using as well is really soft wood. I could probably get maybe 2 carvings out of each because I don't need to have to, you know, it's like, it's only like 2 by 2, I think, maybe. And so, you know, it's like cut down, break them in half essentially, and then just kind of work from there. You know, and then also it's like, what's going to be the cleanup that's associated with that as well. So one of the things that I'm trying to allow myself to do in this space, now that I'm here and I'm, you know, kind of going back into my old routines, is like, you know, maybe it's a good thing that the whole WoW thing is shutting down, because then I'll be able to give myself something to do that isn't just a video game. Learning Icelandic has been interesting. It's been fun. It's been challenging, and at times, you know, a little dry and tedious. And then, you know, I can go back on to Twitch and start streaming that and just try to, like, figure out how best to, you know, incorporate more information, whatever. So, you know, it's like, I'm using this space and this time that I have, try to improve my life in ways that I really haven't had in a long time. And that's why I just, you know, it's like I want to be able to do this stuff because I want to see if it helps my brain, if it helps my depression, or if I'm just doomed. Souls go to their doom in flames. Okay, I think I'm done rambling, yammering, whatever. Have fun.